Oh, I was muted. Hello, 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 hello. Hey, Logan, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. I was wondering what's
Good
up.
to hear. Yeah, I'm over here talking, and then I realized nobody can hear me. Good, 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 good. Yeah, what's going on this Wednesday morning? What are you getting into? How's
Me
life? How's
personally?
life? Just
Oh,
how's life?
life is doing great. Thanks so much for asking. Life's doing good. In terms of Lilypad, we're pushing updates. In terms of life, I am learning, pushing updates to my life as well. It's a constant. It's a constant
you have
updating cycle.
you have a few PRs in review for
Of
life.
course,
Life
of
PRs.
course. Yeah, of course. Literally
Oh
always.
yeah.
Some of them are sitting on the back burner. Some of them are,
Oh
are
yeah.
closed.
Oh
It's
yeah.
way
Oh
she
yeah.
goes.
Lots of code review. Lots of code review. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for joining us as usual. We're super excited to be here, super excited to have you all here. So let's jump right in. So the Lilypad AMA is really a place for the community to come, hear from the team directly, ask questions, and kind of hear about what's going on across the Lilypad. So we thank you all so much for being here. And let's just get right into what is Lilypad and what's the vision. Lilypad's building an open, permissionless, decentralized compute network. And so the vision here is to build accessible, efficient, permissionless open compute and reduce the barriers to entry for developers, small, large businesses, and eventually enterprises to run AI models and to run arbitrary types of compute. And so we are really, really proud to provide our first initial network as a test net, the Lilypad Incentive Net, and that's been live since June. And we've been upgrading it. We've been pushing updates to make sure the system is scaling correctly, to implement new changes based on feedback we get from the community. And so it's been an incredible experience. But in terms of our main net and in terms of where we're going with our incentivized test net, the goal is to build a permissionless distributed compute network with a marketplace for compute and a marketplace for modules. Basically, a Lilypad job is a containerized Docker image, containerized process, and you run those processes on the Lilypad via our CLI, or you can also use smart contract. And so the GPU marketplace is made accessible to the module marketplace to run compute jobs for end users. And so the idea is that we've kind of kicked off the module marketplace where Lilypad has built modules internally, and we provide stable diffusion, stable diffusion video, OLAMA, that kind of stuff already on our network. And then we are encouraging and we will be incentivizing individuals and companies to build their own modules and launch them on our platform. So the real mission here is to enable internet scale data processing for AI and ML and other arbitrary computation, of course, not just AI, but AI and ML are like very, very strong use cases for the network. And the vision here is to really unleash idle processing power. We think that providing a place for sort of an Airbnb style marketplace where you can monetize your idle compute is a fundamental improvement over how cloud companies are built. And we think that it gives us power as a company, but also it gives the community power to sort of earn rewards on their own and sort of build their own little businesses. So the architecture is here. You can see on the left side we have the compute clients. On the right side we have the compute providers. And so the Lilypad system matches those groups and ensures that the jobs are run correctly and ensures that the outputs are sent back to the end user. And so our solver does all the off-chain market matching. We do save our smart contracts on Arbitrum Sepolia currently, so we're using the Arbitrum Sepolia testnet to do so. We intend to be multi-chain, probably post mainnet launch. We probably will launch mainnet with one chain like we are right now. That's in the works. That's still being decided. We have had some great experiences with Arbitrum L2 in general. We're also looking at sort of the trade-offs between launching an L2, potentially launching an L3, or using other L1s that we see in the market that are gaining market share and that are our main priority is low time to finality, high transaction throughput, low costs. And so those are sort of the metrics that we're looking at when we're looking at what blockchains we want to deploy to. And then the tricky part, or one of the tricky parts of this system, is the mediator. And Logan, I'm sure you have plenty to say about that. But essentially, the Lilypad currently runs the mediator, and we will do so until sort of the decentralized mediation sort of takes shape. But right, it's basically to randomly validate that jobs are being run correctly and that the output received has been is not like incorrect. And sometimes that's difficult with non-deterministic jobs. And so we're sort of working our way through that. But essentially, it's a referee to make sure that the RPs are behaving and running the jobs correctly, so that our customers, the clients, um, can be confident that they can use these service providers. But yeah, Logan, I know we spent a lot of time talking about all this stuff internally with the team. Um, it's quite a stack. It's quite a stack. Logan always says this. He's like, running AI models and running parallel processes of any kind on a traditional, data center, cluster locally, is already pretty complicated to orchestrate. And so we're proud to do this. It's not easy, but as you say all the time, Logan, this is something that is extremely complicated in a decentralized setting.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Really excited to see, like, there's, all of us on the team have an idea of what we think something is. And so we have the mediator as is right now. And then we have kind of the mediator that we're planning out for mainnet, a lot of improvements. And I know, talking to the engineer who's working on the mediator, it is a completely different idea. It's a completely different endeavor than I thought. I thought, oh, mediation is just, checking to make sure something was done. I had a very like kindergarten way to achieve mediation, whereas the engineer Arson, who was working on this, explained what his plan is, and I was just completely mind blown. Essentially, like, yeah, just like real quick, if you run a module and you signal it for mediation, essentially it just means that you add some telemetry code and you add some logging code, and what that does is will basically give us a ton of information about what is going on in the module. And so pretty rad, pretty awesome. Not nearly as simple as I thought it was.
Yep. As usual, we didn't do it because it was easy. We did it because we thought it would be easy. No.
Yep.
Yeah. These are really important pieces of the puzzle, and it's really amazing that we get to test it on IncentiveNet, because that gives us a test net environment but with real world usage, to be able to stress test a lot of these systems, including all of this above: the smart contracts, the solver, even our CLI, how we interact with the network. So yeah, anyway, huge shout out and thank you to our existing resource provider community. Huge shout out to our existing compute client, users. We're here for you, and we wouldn't be here without you. So, it takes a village to build all this. And so, huge shout out and thank you for that. Along those lines, our call to action, as always, is join the network with the GPU. We have a lot of resources here for RPs to be able to sort of understand what the program looks like. Actually, this middle, on the top middle, the Lilypad rewards have landed blog. I need to update that image. We have a new Lilypad reward system that's been launched, and we're just ironing out some of the bumps that we've seen and some of the issues that we've come across with the new system. But generally, it seems to be working pretty well. On the left side, you see the resource provider dashboard, of course, the leaderboard showing all the different RPs and who's earned what points. And then, of course, join the Discord, check out our docs. We have a lot of content and information for resource providers. There's also some videos in the troubleshooting section of the docs. And I think in the run a node section too, there's a bunch of video guides: how to set up a node, how to check out its earning rewards, how to set up an Arbitrum RPC. So yeah, we try to be we try to make a lot of content and make sure that the RPs are supported as much as possible. And then including, our troubleshooting process. So just real quick, I'll mention, we just updated our troubleshooting process to make sure it's more transparent and it's easier for both the community to track and for us to track. And so what we're doing is we're having RPs, if they have a significant issue that needs to be looked into, we're having them open a GitHub discussion in the Lilypad org GitHub. And this allows us to have these issues really well organized. The community can see them, and then what we do is we go in there and we update the issue with kind of the status. What's the team doing, and what have we found? Troubleshooting some things, and keeping everyone updated. So we're doing our very best. We are working very hard. We're working on mainnet. We're working on IncentiveNet. We're trying to grow everything and make sure we're doing everything right. Which that's the key word there, is making sure these things are built in a way that has longevity, and that is fair, and that can serve our customers. At the end of the day, we need to serve compute customers. And so anyway, that support process, thank you so much to RPs for helping support that, because What we do then is we take the GitHub information and we transpose it into a workflow for some of our team to actually address the issue. And so without all of that information, all of the data from the RPs, and without all the information kind of collated in one place, stuff gets lost in Discord, stuff gets lost all over the place. And so, this is really, really important for our team. So thank you. As always, we like to talk about some of the programs that we have going on at Lilypad. Logan, I know you've worked with some of the open source contributions, a couple of them, but it's been a lot of fun to sort of get the community involved with our development. I think that's always been the mission of Lilypad, is to be open as possible, as permissionless as possible. So I think you probably are one of the ones sort of pushing for like maybe having more repos be open source, because what we do is we mark issues as community issues and then specifically kind of tag them in GitHub, but we're doing that as efficiently as possible within reason.
Right. Yeah, it's super important for us to make our path for our open source developers very easy, very simple, very straightforward. It's a balance, because we are an org and we need to be thoughtful in what we push. But I know a few of us on the team have done our best to make sure that we're pushing to describe some of the things that we want at Lilypad, to kind of portray, hey, this is an issue. If somebody from the community wants to focus on it, heck yeah. If not, that's okay too. There is also quite a lot of work to make sure and maintain that our GitHub is portraying the work we want to do. And so, it's a balance. We can't we're a small startup, so we can't work on everything. And so, there's a lot of stuff that we have to be careful about. That is, a lot of that is portrayed in our GitHub, but.
Yeah. And I think like we've sort of trying to emulate some of the best open source projects out there, right? You've told me so much about, you read one of Linus Torvalds' book. Was it Just for Fun? Is that the title? I forget the title. Yeah.
Yep.
So taking learnings from sort of like the best open source communities, it's really, it makes you stronger, right? It's really a modern way of building software, and especially with blockchain type technologies, like being able to have the community audit the code and to actually see what they're running on their node, to see what the network's doing, like is it's essential for building traditional software these days. But I think for what we're doing, it's like 10x more important.
Yep. Definitely, as we move like further into mainnet and we get more and more official within our resource providers, within our setups, we get things need to become safer, better, faster, and cheaper. And
Yep.
Open source is basically like the secret superpower to getting to that. Our community is going to be way smarter than we are.
Exactly. And the goal of a very strong open source project is to attract people who are smarter than you, of course, right? And so that's always been our goal. And so we actually provide rewards to open source contributors. I'll just pull this up real quick. We've got this super awesome rewards dashboard. So RPs earn rewards for running nodes, but then also contributions are rewarded once a month. We take a look at all the contributions across the network, and we provide rewards based on the difficulty, the impact, the expected sort of time that we would expect to be put into that. And so anyway, that's something that we're really proud of. And then of course the ambassador rewards. We have an incredible ambassador program that I'll mention real quick. But anyway, so join the network, come participate, come help out in the Discord. And then of course the ambassador rewards and the open source rewards are available once a month. We do it at the end of the month for those who contribute. Anyway, that's very exciting. And so anyway, that's a great segue into our ambassador rewards. Our ambassador program, we are very proud to have some really committed, team or community members who, help the team triage issues. They help the community set up nodes. They help, build tools to monitor systems like RPs, for example. There's a really awesome Telegram bot that's used to sort of monitor an RP, auto update scripts, like all kinds of stuff like that. So if you're really interested and really care about the project, contribute. And the contributions do not go unnoticed. We really pay attention to who's contributing, who's providing value, And so, we have a huge love for our ambassadors. Hey, Sigmund, welcome, welcome. One of our ambassadors is here today. Great to see you. Um, anyway, so get involved. Get involved. There's a lot of ways. I think that's really the summary of this AMA, as always, is get involved. Come check out our Discord, check out our website. We've got some awesome blogs. We have a project report that goes out every week, and so that's something that is really important to us. It does take a good amount of work to put that together, but we care about keeping the community updated, and so that's why we do these AMAs, and that's why we put out the project reports. And so do check out. We do it every 2 weeks, so do check that out. Read about the engineering team, read about the community, read about everything that's going on. Hey, Robert, welcome, welcome, welcome. Our ambassador lead is also here today. We so glad to have you guys. It's always fun to hang out together. The ambassadors have been awesome. The last week we've been triaging a lot of stuff on the rewards calculation. So this group has been incredibly instrumental in helping us kind of get through that and figure out what's going on. So yeah, huge thank you to you guys. And then check out our YouTube. We've got a lot of content on there, like demos and tutorials and different guides. So the YouTube has got a lot of awesome stuff on there. But anyway, as always, this is not just about me and Logan just talking over here. We wanted to get questions from the community. So if there are any questions, definitely let us know. But meanwhile, I think we want to talk about what's going on in the network, what's going on with the team. We have a lot of pots cooking. We're having some big enterprise meetings, talking to some companies about some different types of partnerships and different types of customer relationships. We are obviously, full speed ahead on our mainnet development. That's something that a large amount of our engineering team is spending considerable amounts of time on. In regards to our incentive net, we just pushed a new update yesterday. A new version was released. 2.9.1, which was a pretty insignificant, relatively speaking, pretty small update, but is important for RPs to update to that. And what we've decided in terms of our release cadence, like every 2 weeks we'll release a new version, and when that new version is released, RPs will have 2 weeks to update to the latest to that version, and then after those 2 weeks, the version previously will be deprecated, and that's really important because every time we push an update, there's a pretty important reason. And most of the time, the reason is either network stability, the ability to run jobs, configuring nodes correctly. And so there's a lot of stuff that we're learning that we end up needing to push updates for. And so if RPs aren't updating, then we end up having a lot of problems. And for example, noticing inconsistencies running jobs. And so we just thank you so much for staying up to date. But we are giving that 2-week window in case there's some need for troubleshooting or in case there's some bumps in the road. And so anyway, that's how we're thinking about that. But I think, Logan, I don't know, we can talk more about what's going on in the engineering team. I know it's so we had an offsite in Austin, Texas in the US. When was that? 2 weeks ago? Yeah, I think 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks. I don't know. Feels like a whole year, but it's been maybe 3 weeks. As everyone knows in the blockchain world, 1 week is like 1 month. In terms of how you feel after. And so, we really sat down with the team and took everything we've learned from IncentiveNet and the mainnet development and roadmap as we had it, and really planned out the sprints to make sure that we can achieve the mainnet launch timeline that we've set out, and to kind of divide up responsibilities and figure out how the team's going to work together on the varying levels of work. There's layers and layers and layers of this puzzle, and all this is happening while the white paper and the tokenomics are also being reviewed. A lot of that work has been more or less completed and is now under team review. Our team, we have some incredible advisors who advise the Lilypad network on and bring deep expertise in building these types of systems. And so in addition to our incredibly talented engineering team, we've got some incredible advisors who have been instrumental in our tokenomics and our white paper. So huge shout out to the engineering team, huge shout out to our advisors. Of course, the Crypto Econ Lab has been helping out build out our tokenomics and our white paper. But a lot going on. I don't know, Logan, what you are interested to talk about. I mean, we talk about lots of different things, on these talks. I think last week or the week before we were talking about multi GPU, as in different GPU architectures. I don't know if that's you want to talk about that, or what do you think? What should we jump into?
Well, we could always talk about what I've been working on, because that's really on top of my head. It's really in the front of my brain. which is a bit easier. Every week is different,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
past 2 weeks I've been deploying a DevNet and a demo net,
Yeah.
and
So
so
the DevNet is really interesting. It's essentially like we have our testing environments for pushing updates, and that's been a pretty important piece of our development, flow of, how do you test these things and
right,
emulate an
I
environment
could
that's
that
similar to mainnet.
that's a good idea. Yeah. So we have a few different test environments at Lilypad. I'll explain just a little bit of about them. We have a like local full testing environment, and so you can spin up a Lilypad network on your computer locally and do a bunch of testing there. If you have any changes to the pieces of Lilypad, like changes to the solver, changes to a chain contract, something, that's a way you can test it. And we've been using that we've had that for about a year now. Ever since we got that, ever since it was finished, it was a huge game changer for us, in just making it easier to push code. And then a few months ago, we started working with a development network, so a separate Lilypad network for the development team to use. Um, so yeah, we're pushing. We basically have deployed that and got it working to where we can push updates into that network and make sure everything runs correctly. There's a big difference between it runs on my computer and it runs on a decentralized compute network. So to try to emulate the environment that we have in our testnet is really important. So using the same infrastructure is super important. Um, but and then so we have we have our testnet, which is our main network. Then um, we have a DevNet, which is for our team, and then we have a demo net.
Works on my machine.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So
that's
yeah, just on the DevNet, Logan, I just think it's important to talk a little more about that. So like one of the issues that, or one not an issue, but one thing like we've noticed is there's a big difference between sort of like testing with our local sort of testing environment versus pushing to the Lilypad testnet. We've got a lot of GPUs, a lot of traffic, a lot going on versus testing locally with maybe one GPU is kind of not very well. It works really well, but sometimes, and I think the RP community can attest to this, we've come across bugs in circumstances that are only sort of replicatable or only noticeable when you have insane amounts of traffic, as we do on testnet. And so, of course, one of the ideas that we pushed and that we've been pushing with updates is reducing the amount of chattiness of our RPs on testnet. That's a big thing, but also, yeah, that's the reason demo node's so important, is because we can actually put a bunch of our team resource providers on the DevNet, and then we can actually emulate kind of what's going on our testnet, and that way, like we thoroughly test our updates before we push them. This DevNet has given us an additional layer of testing ability that we're very confident will improve the quality of our updates moving forward.
I mean,
And
yeah,
so
it just makes sense, right? Like if you have the environment running locally in local hosts, and then you have an environment that is similar running on AWS, running on Cloudflare, running on um, everybody's individual resource providers in a live environment, like um, every single one of those characteristics is going to be a lot different than running it in localhost. And so, yeah, we've had it for a while. We haven't been utilizing it as well as I think the team would have wanted, and so hence why we're pushing it now. That's DevNet, and then
yeah,
um,
yeah,
now,
yeah.
and something
So
I've been working on this week is also DemoNet, which is another network not meant for testing, but a network meant to run jobs effectively. Our testnet, like Alex has just said, is a bit chatty, and so it is providing some issues within our solver. And so to streamline getting our jobs running and getting them through, we have a DemoNet to run that on. Very excited to push that out.
Yeah, that's a very temporary thing. That's like something we're doing for testing. That's something we're doing just kind of internally, but that's not something that RP should be worried about or that the community needs to like think much about. Yeah, the testnet is the main location where all the RPs exist and where we run things. Anyway, yeah, all that stuff is ancillary, and it's just yeah, we're excited to talk about it. But yeah, I don't know. I think we should switch gears a little bit. Um, I was watching this video. Our Intel has now pushed this, or is pushing their new GPUs. I don't know how much you know about these Intel GPUs, Logan, but I know. I was watching Tech News with Linus Tech Tips, and they were talking about is it Battle? Oh man, I'm gonna have to pull this up. Battle something. You know what I'm talking about? This new GPU. Um, it's
I know.
it was
Yeah,
they were saying it's mostly good for like data processing and not too much else. But let's see, Intel GPU. Let's see, Battle Image, is that right? Battle Mage. Yeah. Here we go. So I don't know. What do you think about this, Logan? I wanted to get your take. I mean, obviously this. Let's see. I don't know what the specs are. Let's see what the specs are. So we just like talking GPUs at Lilypad, as everyone knows, and so I wanted to bring this up. Um, I don't think it's really necessarily a competitor for like a 4090 or a 30 even like a 3090. Um, let's see. Yeah, but I don't know, Logan. You know more about Intel GPUs than I do. What do you think about Intel GPUs and ARC generally?
well, when we first saw them, it was pretty awesome. Like they're very good at transcoding video. Um, they're very good at being low power, which is really good. They're pretty efficient. I believe. But yeah, there's been a lot of rumors that have been throwing around, and then I think on the tech linked video there was somebody on Twitter who is pretty reliable um, in his prediction. He has there's been somebody on Twitter who's been predicting that the Intel has a new GPU launching and that suppliers are moving them, which is pretty cool.
That's right.
But
So it was an official announcement. That's my bad. I should have clarified that. This was a leak from a reputable source online, and that's why we don't have the specs. I think that's why, right?
right. Yeah, it'll be really interesting. I'm a big fan of Team Blue. Um, you know, yeah, they
Apparently,
have a
it's
lot of
super affordable. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, it makes sense. They have a lot of competition, so it makes sense that they're going to be affordable. Um, but yeah, as long as their software is really good and their drivers are really good, I can't see why they won't be adopted too much. Um, if they hold out and make their software a lot like our friends at the green team NVIDIA, if they have good software, then I think a lot of people will want to use it. But yeah, it's that road is a long, arduous road. So we'll see what they do.
Yeah, it would be interesting to sort of benchmark. I don't know. We might have to get one of these and try to like benchmark some AI jobs on it, or maybe some people have already done that. But it's like, yeah, it's the software is part of the big puzzle here, right? Is being able to like run those parallel processes in a way that's replicatable and that's efficient. That's something that NVIDIA does better than everybody. Even when we look at AMD GPUs with like the ROCm architecture or ROCm drivers, uh, similar kind of problem, right?
Yep. You get better software with NVIDIA, in my opinion. But boy, does that come at a cost. And so it'll be, yeah, I would like, these little Intel GPUs, especially like the A4 or something, or I don't know, A340. Yeah, the A340, kind of like the plane, the A380. But the A340, it's a card, Intel card that's out now. A lot of people use it for transcoding. They're like Plex servers, and they're like really efficient, like very, very low power, like a few watts, which is awesome. I think that's really cool. If you were doing that same process on an NVIDIA GPU, it would not probably be 4 watts. It'd probably be 40 or 4. Yeah, 40. I wouldn't quite say 400 yet, but maybe someday. But yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah,
it's pretty interesting how like the power consumption is just one piece of the spec, right? But it's kind of it's pretty relevant. I mean, when you look at NVIDIA cards, like you were saying, I mean, they burn hot, they burn lots of power. And then these smaller cards, like, or these like Intel cards, I think maybe even the AMD cards, they use a lot less power, right? But
Uh, I'm
or
not
no,
quite sure. I don't know about the
Anyways.
AMD. I don't know how efficient AMDs are. I know that Apple and Apple and particularly Intel have like some pretty efficient um, gear going on. Super awesome. I think at the end of the day, I don't know about Intel, but I know Apple is like very power efficient due to the architecture not being on x86. Um, you know, with all of that previous um, amount of code that x86 is or has, there's quite a lot of power that goes into maintaining that. And so it's really awesome that Apple has done reset everything and started from scratch, which, who knew that they could do it? Let's see.
Yeah. No, yeah, you always talk about that, how Apple is like the most power efficient. It's probably not something like it's commonly talked about. But so yeah, I found this. Let's see, this is kind of interesting. Um,
So
who's the
AMD is not very power efficient.
yeah, yeah, so opposite of what I said. AMD's is like cooking with heavy power usage. I guess so. This was running YouTube video as a benchmark. Maybe it's different with other benchmarks, but yeah, pretty wild actually. This 4060, 4090, they're burning a lot less power, using a lot less
Yeah.
energy.
A lot of people talk about how much power is being used like with a 4090 or something. And it in a sense, it's like, well, it is super power efficient and it just produces that much power. And so like with this amount of energy, you get this processing power of say so large. And so AMD or NVIDIA specifically, they're like absurd. Like a 4090 is just bonkers in terms of the compute, but it does take 400 watts, which is quite of a lot.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not really a conversation. I don't think it's like really that big of a debate, or even like, oh, this is like a big problem or something. I don't think anyone's really too concerned about that. But it'll be interesting to see, because there are people who are concerned with power usage
It's
in
yeah,
general.
it's starting to be. It's starting to be like. Did you hear the news about NVIDIA like made it a requirement that you use their sleds? Like um, they didn't let companies like Supermicro or Dell put their Blackwell cards into their own chassis. Like if I'm Dell, I NVIDIA didn't let me put in a Blackwell GPU inside my Dell chassis. NVIDIA said, like, if you want a Blackwell card, you need to buy with our chassis. We will supply the chassis for you. And so,
Yeah,
okay,
and they've been
cool.
running hot, right? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. They've been running like really warm. And so that power draw eventually, like, yeah, it'll eventually, in my opinion, become just something to contend with. I don't know if it'll become a problem, but like if you're setting up a inference cluster right now, if you have two 4090s, that's 800 watts in even more, depending on what card. But that's at least almost 1,000 watts just for your GPUs. And so this is something that you and I faced when we were mining years ago, is that we would have to buy multiple power supplies for a system, and essentially it's probably just going to be the same thing. Like we'll have power supplies for our GPUs, and then you'll have a power supply for everything else, and pretty funny, pretty
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned inference clusters. What about training clusters, right? I mean, we look at like what Google and XAI and all these big companies are setting up. I mean, they're setting up 100,000, 200,000 GPU clusters. And I mean, I know in Texas they at the Tesla, was it the Tesla? Yeah, the Tesla Gigafactory. They had to build an entire power. Was it like a power station, right? An entire like power. Well, it wasn't a power station. It was uh,
a load balance station.
yeah, but they're actually generating power on site. Is that right, or is it just a load balancer? I forget.
I think it was a big battery, right? Is what we were looking at. It was a big battery, and
I think so.
so whenever, yeah, whenever the power ramps up, the battery will start dispersing energy, but
Mhm.
the power, It's pretty cool how capacitors, modern caching theory at work. Boom. Just caching power instead of bits.
Yep. Well, they don't call them accelerators for nothing, right? We are accelerating, and so that does require a lot of energy. But yeah, hopefully over time that ends up sort of becoming more efficient. I think it's probably something they're going to compete on.
Have you seen that the retailers have started not purchasing new stock of 4000 series cards, and so our NVIDIA 4000 series cards seem as if they are on their way out. Pretty wild.
Yeah. I was watching a video, I think, about that. What was it? Just stock shortages? Or
no, not stock.
They just stopped sort of producing stuff, stocking them, right?
Yeah, everybody's prepping and getting ready for the 5000 series.
Yep.
Yay! Yep. I just bought a GPU. I might need to get another one.
Yep.
It never ends.
It's what's exciting about the new card coming out. In addition, besides the fact that it's a new card that's baller, is that the other cards start dropping in price. Hopefully, so that's good for all of us.
That's the thing. They're not dropping that much anymore. It's kind of insane to me. Like the eBay prices for GPUs. That's where I will go in for the used market here in the United States. I'll use eBay, but the card prices are people got wind that the P40, this data center card, was selling for $200 on eBay, and so then I've just seen the prices go from 200 steadily back up to 300. I think they're going even higher than that. Some people are selling this $200 card for 600. It's what? And so the used market is wild in my mind. It's just pretty insane.
Yeah, that is. Well, and then also you look at a 4090, and that hasn't really dropped in price at all. I mean, obviously there's different variations of a 4090, like a Founders Edition Ti, or I think there's a 4090 Ti. But the prices just haven't really dropped at all on those. I wonder if we'll see them drop with the 50 series coming online. That would be pretty cool to see. Hell no. Yeah. I mean, seeing a 4090 for less than $2,000 for less than $1,800 US dollars, that would be nice. That would be pretty cool. I would even consider getting one.
I haven't seen a 4090 under 1,700 in a long time. I think ever. I think that's what the MSRP was set for. Wild. The M3 or M4? Are we is this
M4?
Yeah. The M4 launch was just so amazing. I can't wait to see some of the numbers behind that. How many people have bought a Mac Mini base model? How many people bought the Mac Mini not base model? I think it's going to be probably some of the best numbers we've seen. A lot of my friends they're oh, I got the Mini, and even I was I got to get one. And so for the price per dollar, I think it's just a super awesome endeavor that Apple did, giving us 16 gigs, standard is just there's no competition now. I don't know how you would compete, but yeah.
No, 100%. And then you see the videos of, I'm trying to find one here. Oh yeah, here we go. Where they spin up these local clusters with Mac Minis. I mean, so cool. So cool.
And the tokens per second is actually radical as hell. It's really awesome, really fast. Yeah. Essentially, you have ChatGPT on your own network.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I mean, of course, we want people to be running inference on the Lilypad network, but we are also huge supporters of this kind of local AI, running models on your local machines. Of course, it's not scalable. Of course, you're not going to serve customers, but for individuals, it's pretty rad. And to see 4 Mac Minis strung together, I mean, come on, that's wild. Cool. Cool. Thunderbolt. Yeah.
The power of Thunderbolt. But it'd be awesome to. We have an open source issue for anybody who wants to go dive into M or Metal, Apple's Metal Metal X platform, adapting it to Lilypad. It's an open source contribution that we have open. It's on GitHub. We would love for somebody to take a look at that. The power efficiency of Apple wins.
Yeah. No, getting someone to check out and do a sort of investigation into the Apple, Apple Silicon using their GPU on our network is like, we're super interested in it. We haven't been able to put development resources into it. So yeah, as Logan mentioned, it's in the Lilypad main repo under community issues. Just filter. And yeah, we would love to have someone pick that up, and we can definitely provide rewards for that kind of thing. I mean, that's a big investigation. And of course, then the question is like, is there an implementation like on the docket for that? So yeah, do check that out. Well, this has been super fun. I think we should probably cut it there. And we've got the next AMA coming up as usual next Wednesday. Well, next week, same day. I think it's Tuesday night for if you're sort of in Australia and Asia. It's Wednesday morning, I believe. Well, Wednesday night. Anyway, go check the Luma calendar, Lilypad calendar. I get this time changes all mixed up, but as usual, we have an AMA once a week. Super fun. We want to make sure that we cater to everyone around the world, because this time that we do today isn't always good for those of our friends on the other side of the planet. And yeah, come jump in our Discord, come hang out, come contribute. Like, we are always, we're always trying to get impact and feedback from the community. So that's something that we care a lot about. And yeah, keep on rocking. But yeah, anyway, thanks, Logan. Thanks so much for joining. And thanks everyone for coming. We will see you on the next one.
Thanks, Aiden. Ciao, ciao.